Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and I'm also Nathan from the future because I forgot to record the intro. Yeah, I know, incompetent. I was actually just too excited to watch the video and I just completely forgot. But there's actually a lot. This is gameplay provided by Creative Assembly, a 22-minute video provided by them. And we're going to go into it. We're going to do the usual stuff where we're going to watch and stop at pretty impressive locations. And I've got to say, without giving spoilers, if you haven't watched it yet and you were waiting for this video, there's a lot of really cool stuff, and I can't wait to play with the Chaos Dwarfs. This is kind of weird, because I don't normally do with this aspect of coming back, you know? But before we begin, if you haven't done so already, you might suggest subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out, and there's going to be a lot of Chaos Dwarf stuff. And hey, you never know, maybe we could hit 100k this year. But yeah, let's jump right in back to past Nathan, I guess. Okay, so we really haven't seen gameplay or anything just yet. It's just been a bit of a intro. I do have to say that this is very impressive. Because let's be honest, when it comes to Creative Assembly's former Let's Plays, I don't know, it just felt a little bit rushed. This looks like it has a lot of time to be polished and definitely a massive marketing upgrade. So yeah, very, very impressed. The animations are cool. Obviously, we can see that you can use slave orcs and slave goblins. And again, just love the concept of you are watching this as if you were the Chaos Dwarf in the battlefield yourself. So yeah, very, very cool.
Astragoth. No, he's not a spacefaring metalhead, he's a mecha-wearing, magic-wielding, limb-petrified high priest of Hashut, and he's on a mission to prove his best sorcering days aren't yet behind him. Chaos Dwarfs, what a lovely pair of words. You'll be pleased to know our angry little Chaos friends have a nice variety of ranged, melee, cavalry, and artillery units, as well as enough cannon fodder to make the greenest of Skavens salivate. Orc and Goblin labourers offer an inexpensive front line that can be used to distract your enemy's army and control the flow of the battlefield. We'll use them in our approach to soak up arrows and conceal the units we actually care about. Meanwhile, Astragoth and our Centaur boys are going to loop around the back and harass their archers.
Alright, we can stop here, and this is actually kind of nice. So using the Orcs and Goblins as cannon fodder, very similar to how you used to use the Hobgoblins back as cannon fodder back in the day. This is on the tabletop, obviously. So yeah, I kind of like this. It might mean that the Hobgoblins themselves might be a bit more valuable. We'll likely have to see until the rest of this video, which, by the way, I'm blind reacting to this, as I figure it'll be better if I just blind react rather than overanalyze things. And yeah, so far I like what I'm hearing.
Yep, you heard that right. Astragoth's legs are as swift as they are utterly terrifying. We've sent our blunderbusses to flank the bulk of the orcs, and the result is a similar consistency to mushy peas. All that's left now is for Ironhand to do his thing.
Alright, color me very surprised. I was not expecting a flamethrower weapon with Astragoth, considering obviously he is going to be quite melee durable, since obviously, you know, the whole exoskeleton thing, and then being a spellcaster. But having a flame weapon too is going to be quite brutal. They surprised even me. This is absolutely amazing. Yeah, okay, let's continue. Sorry, I don't want to stop too often unless I have to, but I'm a massive fan of bull centaurs. In fact, I'm painting up a squad of 3 right now. Well, I was prior to actually sitting down for this video. So seeing that charge was actually quite satisfying. I really can't wait to get my hands on them in-game, as I'm a massive fan of monstrous cavalry, and like bull centaurs are just super cool.
Despite putting some greenskins in their place, Astragoth is a far cry from his former glory. A fact he'll need to overcome as he consolidates the orc-infested province of Zorn as Khul to reclaim his rightful place in the Tower of Zard. But proving he's the one true leader of the Conclave isn't old Ironhand's only goal. Oh no.
Okay, so we have a start position, but this is the Realm of Chaos, so I'm not too sure if he's going to start here or someplace else when it comes to Immortal Empires. But yeah, pretty decent start. Keep in mind that, by the way, if you want to experience the story when you play your DLC, you have to play it obviously in Realm of Chaos, where everything in Immortal Empires is more traditional sandbox. I know most people will want to play them in Immortal Empires, but given the fact that the story was actually really good for the Champions of Chaos DLC, you might want to do at least one run in Realm of Chaos just to be able to experience it, right? Just a little friendly tip, because I know a lot of people didn't actually do the story for Champions of Chaos, but it was actually fairly decent, and the final battle was quite good.
A way into the domain of Hashut has shown itself, and, once breached, the Chaos Dwarfs can reap the most potent power known to Demon Dowie kind, the blood of Hashut. To get there, Astragoth will need to build a drill.
So I'm just stopping here as I'm kind of curious about one thing, as I remember that the Tomb Kings and also the Vampire Coast plus some DLC from Warhammer 2, not all of them, still had their themes, still had their stories, which meant that they could still get the bonuses in Mortal Empires. It'd be kind of curious to see if you could then get your bonuses in Immortal Empires too, considering that here we have some reward. It's just raw materials output, but it's faction-wide plus 10%. I don't know. Obviously we'll need to wait for clarification with Immortal Empires, but still, it would be kind of nice to get big bonuses.
A very, very big drill, which we can upgrade into level 2 and level 4 at the cost of a hefty sum of raw materials, which means we'll need a strong economy. Ooh.
Interesting. So certain buildings might cost raw materials, not just your treasury. Wow, okay. So this means that you're going to have to micromanage a little bit. Mind you, we've already seen that we've got a lot of resources to deal with, and I'm not actually complaining. I'm more curious on how this is going to work. It looks like they're trying to make this faction very, very in-depth, which obviously makes sense because, you know, Chaos Dwarfs. But I never really expected such a radical way of going really in-depth, right? I'm really curious. I can't wait to play, honestly. I really, really can't.
We'll return to the Great Drill of Hashut in a little bit, but for now, what better way to amass great wealth than with great violence? We're weakened, we're outnumbered, and we're on the offensive. Thankfully, the lore of Hashut with its many fiery boons comes in clutch. Burning Wrath is our bread and butter in Astragoth's early campaign. Good damage, good range, good vibes. Who doesn't like swirling death lava?
Okay, I wasn't going to stop, but then I saw the spell and like I was really curious. You might have heard it in yesterday's video that I was just curious on how these spells are going to work. Burning Wrath looks pretty cool. So missile and then it turns into like a mini vortex or something? Yeah, sign me the hell up. I'm really, really hoping that we get to see the other spells in this video. Well, there's probably going to be a few because obviously there's 3 legendary lords. But yeah, I'm super, super impressed. Right, I know that it's not the most important thing to some of you guys, but the battle music that we just heard was actually pretty good. Yeah, like, it's good theming, and theme is important because it's part of your immersion. Audio immersion is very, very important. That was great. Yeah, I'm really happy. The problem is that when you're playing with the miniatures themselves, you don't really get those noises, you don't get the background theming and so on. So when you hear it in-game, you see it in-game, it's so different, but yet so familiar. Sometimes Creative Assembly can just kind of create sounds, which is more or less what you are kind of thinking of in your head, in a sense, right? When it comes to these types of theming.
Ah, to the victor go the spoils. Another hard-won piece of the puzzle. Unlike every other faction in the world, Chaos Dwarfs know the value of hard work, the worth of a sweaty brow and calloused palms. That's why Chaos Dwarfs don't build any old settlements, no. They build outposts, factories and towers, all tools of the unrelenting machine of industry. Outposts are needed to mine raw materials, factories turn those raw materials into ornaments and gold, and towers are our sprawling province capitals.
Wait a second, wait, we're getting 3 different types of settlements, outposts, factories, and towers? So this means, well, he'll probably go into it now, it's likely that they're all going to have different buildings and so on, but I don't think, yeah, no other race does that, and I don't think any faction in other Total Wars have done that before, so... yeah, interesting. Very, very curious. I'll shut up now, I promise.
But what do we build? Well, there's a lot of factors to take into consideration, and before we get there, let's rewind a little bit and take a deeper look at our economy. That's right, hold on to your seatbelt, I said economy. Chaos Dwarfs are industrious little fellas, and that's reflected in the way we'll manage our budding empire's resources. Behold, our new major currencies. Treasury, raw materials, ornaments, and labour. And then there's conclave influence, but we'll come back to that later. Treasury needs no explanation, it's shiny, it's heavy, we love it. Raw materials does what it says on the tin, needed for certain buildings and technologies and can be converted into ornaments or gold in specific factory buildings.
We'll carry on now, but I just wanted to stop here because there's a lot of ways to actually gain raw materials and a few ways to use it. I think the most important thing to note here is that building construction refunds actually give you stuff back. Which I think is really, really important to note, as I imagine that you won't get everything back, but you might get a percentage, but at least you're getting something back. I think that's actually quite good. Yeah, overall, so good. Like, this is really, really cool. And all the raw materials can then be used to make armaments or treasury too within a factory settlements building. There's so much to this. This is great.
Our primary source of raw materials is from outpost strip mines, but we can also trade with it using military convoys, which unlock at turn 5.
Okay, so this does pretty much confirm that you're going to get different buildings if you pick outpost or factory. This is actually going to lead to some very curious ways to build up your campaign. Can you have, say, for example, a full province dedicated to just factories, or does it have to be mix and match? Can the player have a lot of freedom here? Oh my god, I've got so many questions, but so far so good. This is actually really impressive. This might be like a kind of new standard for DLC?
Armaments. Primarily gained through factory assembly lines, armaments are used in the construction of advanced military buildings and some technologies. As with raw materials, we can trade armaments on military convoy expeditions for other goods.
Okay, so going back to armaments, there's a lot of stuff that you can use that for and gain it from too. I honestly think that the Chaos Dwarfs might have the most mechanics of any other race that we've seen in Total War Warhammer so far. You never know in the future, but this is a lot of stuff. Kind of takes me back to actual Chaos Dwarf armies where you just you needed to do a lot of mathematics to min-max your forces.
Labour, because all those tasty minerals aren't going to mine themselves. Labour directly affects the output of our raw materials. More strip mines requires more labour, and a dwindling workforce produces fewer raw materials. So keeping your control in check is advised. We can perform various actions with our labour force, increasing our gold stores or our conclave influence, or we can move labour around our sprawling empire to bolster provinces that might need the extra manpower.
Okay, so labour is basically the Dark Elf slave mechanic, which I guess might work because it looks like there's a little bit more to it. So while it might not be the most impressive thing right now, until we actually see it properly in action, I guess we're going to have to wait and see before we can cast proper judgment, but it does look like we will have the buttons that the Dark Elves can use, or even Sinesh with the Pleasurable Axe. Could have wished that it was a little bit different, in all honesty, but again, I'm not going to judge it until I actually see it in action, and all the labour stuff in general.
You may have guessed it, labourers are largely unpaid, gained from willing battles, and are usually greenskins. So, what to build? We've established that labour is important and its effectiveness is directly linked to a province's control. We need labour to mine raw materials, and those raw materials to produce armaments and other goods. I've got an idea, and feel free to disagree with me, that's fine, but I envision a Chaos Dwarf empire with districts. Here, in my homeland, I see the heart of my mining endeavours, 3 outposts and, keeping all those labourers in line, a tall, terrible tower.
Okay, that's great. That answers a question from before. So you can actually decide, I want my full province to be just all labor, and then the next one will be armaments if I want to, and so on. Yeah, this is great. I wonder if that changes your playstyle too much. It's kind of curious, obviously, but it does make sense if you're going to be trying to get as much going. You want loads of labor to then make loads of armaments to then, trade around. Yeah, I'm loving this. This is kind of like mixing up a little bit of paradox mechanics, I guess, with a little bit of Total War. I don't know.
Yeah, let's do that. Our next province will be entirely factories, and that'll be our industrial district. Factories are too important to sleep on though, so we'll build a mixture for now and utilize the swap settlement feature when it's district time.
There's a swap settlement feature. Okay, that works out perfectly for me because that was a question that I had already. So this is awesome. You can actually swap your settlement. This is great. I'm imagining it's going to cost a decent amount of cash, but perfect. Absolutely perfect. This is going to make things a lot easier, especially if you might make a mistake or at the beginning you just need to build up for a little certain way. Being able to swap settlements, which I imagine will probably be a similar system to, how Grand Cafe does with Yin and Yang, might be cool.
One of the handiest uses for labour is instant construction. For example, we can kickstart our economy by throwing labourers at it, instantly building a money pit to get those coffers flowing.
Okay, I feel like I'm going to be stopping a lot, and I do apologize, but this is good. This is good. You could literally just, mass up on a lot of labor and then just instant construct stuff. Freaking beautiful. Yeah, I love this. In terms of campaign, I like the slow and steady movement. So being able to just build up in my own pace, but just auto-building certain buildings, that's going to be freaking great. It's going to definitely make my campaign a bit faster too, provided I can wrap my head around the mechanics, of course, but yeah, this sounds pretty interesting.
Over in the tower, we'll want to work towards upgrading to rank 2 at the hefty cost of raw materials. An upgraded tower will give us access to the lava fields, where we can churn out more centaurs and the great Taurus, amongst other handy benefits. More ranks eventually leads to the Lanisu, Bull Center Renders, and the dreaded Bell Taurus, but that'll take time and some serious resources. Before we move on, it's a good idea to get some technology brewing. For Chaos Dwarfs, the technology tree is split into 3 branches: military, sorcery, and industry. No points for guessing which one does what, although our sorcery tree is also where we'll find our diplomatic boons. No wrong answers here, we can cater our society to fit very specific molds. Military powerhouse or economic marvel, the choice is ours. And we're going to choose a nice mixed spread. We'll start with Merchants Guild for the bonus to trade, and then we'll work towards Envoys of the Conclave in the Sorcery Tree, which will get us on good standing with our fellow Chaos Dwarfs. It'll be a while until we need to worry about unlocking technologies with specific resources, so let's just push that out of our heads for now.
Chaos Dwarfs have 3 different technology trees. I know they've said, yeah, it's 3 branches and stuff, but no, that's 3 trees. That's so cool. Oh my god, that's literally, you can just mix and match how you please, just go from whatever. That's great, and it's divided to all the different types of, the main things for the Chaos Dwarfs. This is honestly so impressive. I am blown away. Hopefully it works as intended, but yeah, this is really, really impressive. I am legit shocked.
And whilst we're pushing that out of our heads, let's push some new skills into Astragoths. Root Marcher, that's a given, and we'll drop points into Aspiring Presence now and Featherant Fodder later.
Alright, so I only just realized that the tech tree also showed this, but this is a new quality of life feature. When you're going over a tech or skill that might boost up a unit, you'll actually see the unit cards there too. Because sometimes, and it happens to me, even though I've been playing this game for 2,000 hours, I might just forget. Whereas seeing the unit card is a little bit easier. It's good visual things, it's an easy way to stimulate the mind. So yeah, this is great, yeah. This is actually a really good quality of life change.
You're playing quite cannon fodder heavy, and it's nice if your meat shields don't run away. At level 12, Astragoth can unlock this lovely little joy, Master of the Conclave.
Okay, we're not going to see the full unique skill line, but yeah, pretty decent diplomacy. Diplomacy bonuses with Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Beastmen, and Norsca, Chaos Dwarfs, so same with your faction, and Ogre Kingdoms. Yeah, okay, very, very impressive. I do wonder what the rest of his skill line is, though. Mostly because it's obviously not all going to be focused on diplomacy, but even then, this is not that bad. I know it's not the most impressive one for people, but sometimes diplomacy goes a long way, especially if you're going to be in the Darklands and you're basically going to be surrounded.
Being quite so angry, expansive, and repugnant, the Chaos Dwarfs get a fairly bad rap abroad. Anything we can do to soften that image will be handy in the long run. With our dashing Bull Centaur hero, we'll prioritise training where possible, and then just make him a right good stabber of living things, I reckon. What a beautiful bull man. What's his name? Zorak. I think not. Welcome to the party, Natalie. I'm so sorry.
Not gonna lie, kind of died inside there. Why? I mean, it's a funny name, but oh god, here we go again, right? This is the new Daniel.
Sorry. Whew, almost done with turn 1, my word. We'll just recruit some sneaky gobos, another unit of Chaos Dwarf warriors, and some...
Ooh, okay, Chaos Dwarf units are capped. Likely there's going to be ways to improve that, and it kind of makes sense from a lore perspective. So in the lore, some of you guys might not know, but there's very little dwarves ever since, well, a lot of catastrophes, the War of the Beard, and so on. And there's even less Chaos Dwarfs, like a lot less. So they're probably bringing that aspect in, which I'm kind of keen on. I kind of like it. It's lore friendly. And we've seen through, you know, like clips and stuff that they've shown full Chaos Dwarf armies or just legions of them. So, yeah, it's possible. You also get a decent amount of Hobgoblin troops. So we can see, I think there's the Sneaky Stabbers. Then we got the standard ones. We got the Orc Laborers and the Goblin Laborers. I don't know why they're not called slaves, to be honest. And Hobgoblin Archers, which, funny enough, I've just recently bought a bunch of metal and unpainted Hobgoblin Archers. Yeah, I know this has nothing to do with the video, but I kind of just want to show my excitement about that. So, yeah. It's the little things, right? Little victories.
more cannon fodder, I mean labourers, then it's all aboard the Chaos Dwarf Express to Murderville. Choo-choo. Dang, greenskins are holed up on some prime real estate. We'll spread our attackers, as is only correct and proper, to assault on 4 fronts. I know, full frontal charges with cavalry are frowned upon, but I can take them. Especially with a little help from the laws of Hashut and fire. Oh, lava stomp. You love to see it. As predicted, Astragoth, Natalie and their centaur children made light work of their orcish opponents. Elsewhere, we're making slow but steady progress into the din, and I can only imagine the furious indignation of the soon-to-be indentured locals. With one entrance breached, we're free to sow chaotic seas with our cavalry. Oh, mecha body slam. Zorna's Call is once again united, and Astragoth's quest to re-establish his dominance within the Tower of Zar can begin in earnest. We'll set the Billowing Smokestacks commandment to maintain control over our labour and contemplate where to forge ahead next. Remember, we'll be looking for a nice, nearby province to build our factories. The path to the east is tempting, and opens us up to the Mountains of Morn, though the ogres are not a force to be taken lightly. Either way, the Saberskins are less than friendly. War will sing in the mountains eventually. Tantalizingly close, the High Pass is our most obvious choice, and though these crumbling ruins may appear abandoned, they hum with the scratching machinations of Skaven. Though is not as immediate a threat, the vampires and the orcs of the World Edge Mountain hold no love for us, and would stand fast in the face of our expansive ambitions. But not all our neighbours want us dead, and indeed our fellow Chaos Dwarfs also call these lands home. We would be wise to foster a strong relationship with our kind, for in a world that hates our very existence, they are our truest hope for an ally.
Alright, we had a little break of me talking there, but yeah, they're kind of pushing towards allying up with other Chaos Dwarfs. In fact, the blog yesterday kind of said that it would work best if Chaos Dwarf players would even ally up. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of this. So far, so good. I do feel like that was also a little bit of a hint to Neferata in the future. I'll be very honest there, because they made specific point to point out a minor faction at this point, which, let's be honest, will not be a threat, but in the future could be, right? I don't know. Look, let's not talk about the future just yet, but I'm just going with what I felt was being said, right?
You know what? Let's just stomp on some rats. Classic ogres, couldn't wait their turn. No matter what direction we started in, we were always going to end up in a situation like this. At least our tower will act as a barrier between the ogres and the rest of our settlements. It's got a strong garrison, so we should be alright for now. If things start looking hairy, we can recruit an emergency lord and hope for the best.
Strong garrison? I mean, I understand it's just this is the way to line up to show recruitment, but it's strong garrison, bunch of greenskin and goblin slaves. Okay.
Impulsive. That's what I like my leaders to be anyway.
Alright, so we do actually have two different lord types. The Sorcerer Prophet, which is your spellcaster, and here we can see the Lord of Ashut, the Lord of Fire, the Lord of Metal, and the Lord of Death. All good options, to be honest. This is great. And then the Overseer is likely to be the melee-based lord. So yeah, I'm very happy. We're actually getting a race pack with all its lores. I don't think we've actually had that before, right? Yeah, I don't think we've actually had a race being introduced with all its usable lores right from the very beginning. Well, barring the demon factions, but that's because they can only use 2 lores. So yeah, this is great. I'm very happy about this.
Anyway, we've only gone and collected a fair few influence points. Let's say we crack open the Tower of Zara and see what's inside. Okay, alright, I see how it is. 2 seats already taken. I guess that's what I get for savouring my rat stomping. Anyway, much like the Chaos Dwarfs technology pillars, the Tower of Zara is split into industry, military, and sorcery. There are 4 tiers, 3 districts, and a whole lot of boons to gobble down, with the ultimate prize being the confederation of our fellow Chaos Dwarfs.
I am so happy we can confederate. You have no freaking idea. I was worried that this was going to turn into this thing of them being independent and so on, but no, we can confederate with the other Chaos Dwarf factions. That's freaking great. I am so happy about that. You have seriously no idea. The district system seems kind of interesting, to be honest. There's a lot of tiers to go from, and it looks like it's going to focus on your conclave influence. Yeah, we're going to have to see a little bit more of that.
To unlock the next tier, 2 full districts must be completed in the previous tier. Thanks to my like-minded kin, we're well on our way to achieving those ends. Not gonna lie, I did want the Machinator seat for the bonus to raw materials. We could dethrone them, we have the influence to do so, but we're still trying to play nice at the moment, so probably not the best of ideas.
Alright, so you and the other playable factions, even if you're just playing solo, will still work together to get into the next tiers. However, you can dethrone each other, and that will understandably give some diplomatic relation issues and so on. It's good to know, though, because eventually, if you confederate them, what happens there? I'm imagining that you'll take over everything. But if you're just fighting against one of the factions, you might want to use your influence to get rid of any bonuses that they might get, because there is a decent amount of bonuses that we've seen, even getting some resources generated per turn. Yeah, this actually sounds really cool. You know what I'd love to do? Maybe we could do this in the early access period for the creators. Have 3-man campaign with different Chaos Dwarf players, myself and like 2 other creators, and just actively try to screw each other over. Might be fun. Let me know what you guys think about that, though.
I'm a little miffed, but we'll park our bum on the blacksmith seat for now. Extra ornaments is nothing to sniff at, and by any means seats aren't permanent. We'll have another shot eventually. Or we'll build an economy so vast every seat is dwarfed beneath our all-encompassing buttocks. Ah, politics.
Okay, so we do get convoys, and these are basically just like the caravan mechanic. It's being reused. I think that's perfectly fine if it works well. Unfortunately, I went a few seconds ahead. They don't give too much context. You don't know. Maybe they show more in the video, or they may be showing in the future. I know some people might be a bit miffed about this, but to be honest, we've been getting a lot of unique stuff, and this kind of looks like there's some unique stuff there. Like, if you look at the Haunted Forest, you'll be trading your own treasury for... God, I don't have my glasses. Either that's raw materials or armaments. Well, it's one or the other. And the fact is, it might even be a bit more detailed than the campaign mechanic, because we actually have multiple resources to work with. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how this goes.
Unfortunately, we're not quite secure enough in our economy to easily swallow the cost of sending a convoy out just yet. Not whilst we're waging 2 wars, anyway. You know what? The convoy will have to wait. Back to squashing rats. I enjoyed that. There's something cathartic about watching Skaven run for their lives. Right then, the High Pass is now our industrial district. We're not accepting labour here, instead funneling it all into our mining district, which we've now converted into entirely outposts.
Okay, so it's still pretty much using what the Dark Elves have now, and I think that's fine. Well, I don't know. It's okay. I don't know. I've not really played the Dark Elves in a while, I'll be very honest with you. But this does look a little bit more detailed. I could be wrong here. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. That's always quite useful to know, obviously. But I don't know. I think it looks all right. Considering we've seen so many different mechanics, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how it feels for ourselves, I guess.
I've opted not to build a tower in Karagvlag. I'll use them more on my frontiers to hold our borders firm, much like our capital's been doing with the ogres, which is good because they're not friendly. Thanks to the Tower of Tsar and our Master of the Conclave talent, we're making diplomatic headway with our fellow Chaos Dwarfs. And we may need to call in some military favours soon if the Saberskins don't calm down. Anyway, right now we've got greener fish to fry. The World's Edge Mountains is home to the Red Eye clan. More greenskins! And they're none too thrilled that we kicked their vampire friends out of the Silver Pinnacle. They're gonna be less than thrilled when we make them homeless. Positively upset when we put them to the mines. Whilst Astragoth psychs himself up for more wholesome violence, we'll have our second army begin the recruitment drive for a pair of great Tauruses. Taurusai?
So one thing to note is he doesn't have a lot of cap for the Chaos Dwarfs. It's been, what, like 19 turns at this point? Now, I wouldn't worry too much if I were you, because remember how they showed off the Beastmen rework, and those have caps, and they just had loads of Ungors and stuff instead of actually getting into the higher tier stuff? I think they're just trying to go bit by bit just to have a little bit more effect, which kind of makes sense. This is promotional stuff. It's not a campaign that they're actually playing for the sake of playing.
Alright, let's do this. Gearing up for one big old war. Bring it on, orcs. Oh, okay. There we go then. 20 odd turns in and we've managed to claw ourselves into a somewhat steady footing. The Saberskin ogres are still causing us a little grief, so we'll likely put them down next, but by adding the World's Edge Mountains to our growing territories, we've opened ourselves up to attacks from Kislevites and our inferior mountain-dwelling cousins. Indeed, the journey ahead is perilous, and Astragoth's gonna need a leg up if he... Oh! I just mean you could use a hand... I'm sorry. Look, what I'm trying to say is we've got a new epic quest with some stellar rewards up for grabs. The influence alone will set us forward, but the Black Hammer of Hashut is a must for any would-be master of the Conclave. Ah, thank you Burndin for keeping our flying cows warm. We'll put them to good use, worry not. Okay, here's the deal. We've got a derailed train and a very important payload to deliver. Our task, ensure the payload arrives at the victory point unscathed. Grabby goblins and opportunist orcs will use this narrow valley to their advantage, meaning we must be vigilant. That's right kids, it's an escort quest.
I almost swore there, but I can't. But that is actually really surprising. They made an escort quest. This is, has there been escort quests before? That's just kind of thrown me off. Wow. Yeah, this is cool. Does this mean that we're just going to start getting, like, the potential of, like, new style of quests? Because the pitched battles all the time are a little bit boring. But if they're going to shake it up every now and then, that's genuinely impressive. That's honestly really, really impressive.
We've got a replacement train up and running, and I'd wager good money we'll see our first combat on one of these two bridges. Or both. For good measure, we'll split our forces into two crack teams with Astragoth heading one and Nathalie the other. Ooh, there they are. We'll set our great Taurus on their archers and take the rest head on. As first waves go, it's immensely survivable. Bit of flanking, bit of magic, bit of vigorous stabbing, and they're running for the hills. As Astragoth's team continues to the next ramp, on the other side of the valley, Nathalie's got a big old spider to squash. Rather them than me. It's a tougher crowd than Team A face, but nothing Nathalie can't handle. Meanwhile, more greenskins are pouring into the valley and Astragoth's keen to meet them. Good job, Nathalie. We'll take Team B to the next ramp whilst Team A mops up the stragglers. Oh, I think the Great Taurus might be my new favourite unit. Look at it go! So beautiful, so graceful, so moo. Oh right, not too far from our destination now and the payload's yet to be scratched. Whatever comes next we can... Oh, the bars are coming in. I should shut up. Enjoy the film.
Before that, yeah, it kind of looks pretty interesting. I do like the map. I think the map is pretty cool looking. It's still very much a pitched battle vibe, but the fact that you have to protect something, it's a very good start to something more. I mean, we haven't seen all the quest battles in this game, have we? Especially for the Chaos Dwarfs now. So... you never know. You never know. But this has a lot of promise. I'm actually really, really excited about this. so the video is pretty much over, and clearly they haven't shown us everything because we really haven't seen how to increase the capacity for Chaos Dwarf units. I mean, we're not expecting to just have 2 for a whole campaign. But yeah, so far I feel like, yeah, this is pretty good. So far so good. There's a lot of unique stuff. There's a few reused things, but I think that's okay if there's more unique than reused, you know, if the new outweighs the old. So far, I kind of like the idea. I do hope that the future campaign previews and stuff, or gameplay previews, are more based on Immortal Empires, as we've already seen one with Mortal, and I just kind of want to see how things would change. It would be great if they could just start dropping the start locations, the start positions and so on. But yeah, I can't really see no problem in this. I'm definitely hyped up for the Chaos Dwarfs. Like, I'm really, really hyped up. The fact that this is a little far away is kind of killing me inside. But yeah, no, I'm liking what I see. I wonder what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because I really want to know what you guys see. Keep in mind that any values and stuff that you will see in these videos being released by Creative Assembly and in the future by myself could be subject to change. But I feel like everything looks pretty fluid. The animations on the freaking, the Bale Taurus was just awesome. Absolutely awesome. I really can't wait to see what they've got planned for next. But yeah, so far so good. I feel like we might be kind of pushing away from the drought. I'm still, like, obviously got my defenses up, but this is looking promising. This is looking very promising. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.